Hey doing everyone. Excuse the phone camera today, but I'm just gonna make you a quick video on the fly. I'm up here in what we've often referred to as our nut silvopasture. Small scale silvopasture being the purposeful integration of productive trees within grazing. I'm currently standing between two rows of trees with a small grazing strip between them. And we've got 1, 2, 3 grazing strips between, actually 1, 2, 3, 4 grazing strips between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of trees. And yeah, like I said, that has over the years been planted up to chestnuts and hazels, a nut silvopasture. And this was planted in 2019 as a coppice, as a place that we can grow some of our fuel wood, some of our craft wood. Chestnut and hazel both being relatively fast growing trees. Here we have a hazel. We know they grow well. Didn't know if chestnut would grow well, and they really have been. Here is a chestnut, just a regular chestnut, not a cultivar or grafted variety. So towering above me now, really growing well. And since we planted this up in 2019, we have rotated sheep grazing through here. We've had geese, we've had chickens. Before that it was an empty field, and we used to have cows when we had Shetland cows up here. So it's been doing really well, but over the last couple of years I've kind of looked at it and thought, oh, should I have devoted so much space to these chestnuts, which, let's face it, we're going to be quite lucky if they ever produce a sizable nut. I'm sure they will produce a nut because there's evidence of that from large chestnuts that grow on the edge of bits of estates and, you know, big country houses around here, and we see them in nut, but they're often very small. And because these aren't cultivar chestnuts, it's going to be potentially up to 20 years before they even fruit. And while this is growing really well as a wood producing system, as a coppice, I feel it's a bit of a waste when those types of trees, wood fuel species, hedgerow, coppice trees, could be on the fringes, on the edges, windbreaks, borders, etc. Whereas this is such a sheltered spot because of these large pines blocking the westerly winds. It's a real sun trap. It's probably why the chestnuts have been growing so well. I just feel it should have been maybe used for more human food producing trees that are definitely going to work well, like apples. I know I'm planting a lot of apples, and it might seem a bit crazy how many apples we're planting, but to us this is a great place to grow apples. They work here in our area of Scotland and our climate. So I've been coming up here over the last few weeks and making edits, and I took the big, slightly nerve-wracking decision to start digging up some of the chestnuts and moving them over to areas where we can leave them alone to hopefully grow, if we haven't killed them by moving them, to be wood fuel species, or eventually maybe drop some seed for other foraging livestock that we might get in the future in different places of the farm, and then start replacing those chestnuts here with fruiting species like apple. And we're going to be putting in some fruiting shrubs as well. And we're keeping the hazel. The hazel are producing already. We've been getting quite a few nuts off of these hazels since planted in 2019. So basically it's going to be a fruit and nut silvopasture up here, and we're just moving the chestnuts. Although I have planted 2 grafted chestnuts, very expensive things to buy, but in here we've got a grafted chestnut variety. If that grows well, there is a promise that they should produce within 2 to 4 years, so that's very exciting. We'll see how that goes, but we just don't want to devote too much space to chestnuts here. It's just very unknown whether or not we will actually get any chestnuts, so we use this valuable sun trap growing space to grow a fruit tree that we're guaranteed to get something from, which is apples, hazelnuts. So yeah, over the last week or so I've been digging up the chestnuts, moving them to a better location, and fingers crossed they will survive okay from being transplanted. And I've been putting apple trees in their place. Here's an apple that was once a chestnut growing between a nitrogen fixing alder and another nitrogen fixing alder, a bit like how we use Aleagnus. We're using alder in the same way as a support species, as a nurse tree, to provide the nitrogen requirements for some of our target species, our productive trees. So I've been putting in the apples and pretty much have done that now. All the apples that we bought as bare root stock for this season have been planted out. And now I'm coming up here with the shrub species to put in row to really work on our multi-strata, multi-layered agroforestry approach. So a few days ago we had a lovely visit from some people who run a fruit farm called Muir Fruits, which is in Aberdeenshire, and they are focusing on honeyberry in Saskatoon, which we have also grown a little bit of. These guys are doing it much bigger. They've got thousands of plants over about 5 acres, I think. Anyway, they're growing these quite unknown and unheard of fruits, Saskatoon and honeyberry, and they very kindly brought us a huge amount of Saskatoon plants that they have been digging up recently because they're changing the design of their farm and consolidating the farm and moving things around, and so they've brought us these beautiful bare root species, bare root Saskatoon, very healthy. So I'm going to be coming up here just now and I'm going to be putting them in row in between our main target large fruit tree species, the hazel and an apple. Actually, that's a pear. I've put a few pears in here too. And that's going to be really great, bringing another layer in, capturing the sunlight that is available while the large canopy species fruit trees are still small, and giving us a harvest of berries. Hopefully, I mean, Saskatoon is a bit unknown for us here. Its other name is Juneberry because it fruits in quite early summer. So it flowers even earlier, which is why it could be a bit risky here, because we obviously can get frosts and snow still when that is happening. But we have planted Saskatoon already in some areas of the farm and they've fruited for us, so we're excited to see. This variety is called Smoky. It's a named variety of Saskatoon, so originally a native plant to North America, Canada. So I'm sure we've got similar growing spec. Anyway, just a really quick update, a bit of a ramble, but give you a taste of what's going on. And just for context, we are up above the market garden, so right at the top of our market garden. So we've now got fruit growing from our northern boundary, which is about 100 meters up there, all the way down this hill, fruit, nut, down into what is the berry plots now, which of course is also planted up with mixed food forests, right down to some quite mature woodland on the roadside. Alright guys, just a wee update for you, our patrons. Thank you so much for your support.